Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Grief Process. Today's question entitles, What do I feel? Why do I feel so alone? So, this broadcast is talking about, in terminology, like literally, why do you feel so alone? I'm giving you some primary examples. A lot of time you feel so alone because everybody may be doing different things and working and handling their daily routine and not really thinking about you when it comes to mind of how you're doing, how you're feeling, this and that. And when you feel alone, this is where you really need to say, okay, I need to go out and interact. And I know with the grief process, you don't want to be around too many people. You want to kind of be secluded from people because you just feel like nobody seems to understand. And that's why support groups are very necessary. Very necessary. When you have those I feel alone, it's time for you to reach out to your support sisters or brothers and reach out and text them, say, hey, I'm having a rough day. I need somebody to talk to. And if you can't reach them, go to another one. Have at least maybe 2 or 3 options just to get somebody to say, hey, she's hurting or I'm hurting, something going on. And when you put that out there, that gives the person to say, hey, something's going on. The person is not having a very good day. And what's really going on with them is causing them to lose insight. See, they're in a path, and a journey to process the healing. But in that moment, they need somebody to really listen to what they're struggling with. And what I find about support groups, you can say whatever you want, whenever you want, and be freely to speak your mind. There are so many people out there who are struggling with grief right now. Somebody's having a really rough day at this moment right now, and they don't know what to turn to or who to turn to. They're kind of afraid to open up and shell out some of these emotions and feelings that they're having. So my suggestion is reach out. Don't hold it in, because the more you hold it in, it gets bigger, worser, and it just stretches really long like a rap streak. And it wraps around like you know how yarn wraps around? That's how thick it gets, because you consume so much of it that eventually you're going to explode. And that's what that grief looks like. When you have built it up so long that it completely explodes and expands. Most people would say, now remarkable, I'm just proud, I'm gonna just muddle it through and kind of keep to myself. And hey, that's one of the trigger points too, when you kind of keep it to yourself or kind of shelter yourself, and you kind of just get in that position where you like, you know what, I'm not gonna tell nobody what I'm going through, I'm not gonna invite nobody in. That's a red flag right there that there's a problem. It is. And a lot of times people is like, okay, I think this person need to be left alone. True enough. But if you're really a concern about that individual, you will figure out a way to reach them in the proper way. And I'm going to say this very cleanly before I share this video. There's a certain way to talk to someone, okay, when they're grieving. And then they tell you to leave you alone, this and that and the third. But then there's an angle you can use, and I'm going to give you this little angle real quick. There's a way you can speak to somebody and just kind of throw in a small gesture, something that'll put a smile on their face or make them laugh, something that'll kind of throw them off a little bit. And I put that out there because a lot of times when somebody's grieving, they need a little laughter in their life. They need a little joy. They need a little comedian to kind of wake them up a little bit. And then all of a sudden, once you start laughing and joking with them and carrying on, then they begin to open up. And then the more they open up, they feel more comfortable talking to you. And they'll feel more comfortable talking to you because you trigger something in them for them to kind of trust you. And when you do that, it shows that, hey, if I do something that's spontaneous, not crazy, but do something to kind of sparkle their heart or make their soul or their spirit a little bit brighter, say something that they wouldn't even expect anybody to say, something crazy out of the ordinary. And when they begin to say, hey, I think I can call her and see how she's doing, and go behold, when the cycle continues, that's when they're building their support system, because that 1 or 2 and 3 and 4, and then it's the whole community of them where you can text and call or group chat or what's up, whatever. And then you be like, man, I missed out that, because you were so afraid of the unknown. And that unknown caused people to shut down and not open up. But boy, when you finally open up that door and realize that you have somebody that's going to be there, your rock solid buddy friend, oh man, that's awesome. Hey, good afternoon, Slap. I'm just on here real quickly. So let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen. I'm going to go ahead and show this video. Don't ask me why I'm in the room. For real. Kids got music on, so I'm hiding out in here. That board. All right, what you saying, Slap? Everyone needs someone at any given time for days. I reach out and speak up. That's a part of showing concern. Amen to that, bro. That part. People need it. Don't shut down because it can get really ugly real quick. So I'm gonna show this video real quick, everybody, get you an understanding of the phases of grief and understanding of bereavement. It's like a 4-minute video. It's not gonna be too long.
We'll explain the phases of grief as we understand them from the research literature. What is bereavement? Bereavement can be defined as the loss of someone close to you, and grief as the response to that loss. So within this context, grief can be considered a permanent state, as there will always be some response to the loss. Our grief is likely to change form over time, but there will always be a reaction of some kind to losing someone we love. You may be familiar with the stage model that says we move through 5 stages of denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and finally acceptance. This is a popular model in the media because it's comforting for people to think there is something you can move through in an ordered way, which helps contain the chaos of grief if we have 5 jobs to do, so to speak. However, it suggests that there is one right way to grieve, and it also implies that there is a linear nature to bereavement. But we know that grief is more of a roller coaster experience, with good days and bad days being really unpredictable. We think a more helpful way of understanding our grief is by conceptualizing it as acute or integrated. What is acute grief? The initial phase of grief is often called acute grief, and usually begins shortly after the loss. However, in the case of cancer, it's not uncommon to feel grief even before our loved ones have died. Acute grief can involve a whole host of experiences that you may have never encountered before. And you may feel vulnerable in a way that you have never felt before. It often involves feelings of intense separation distress, in which there is a strong urge to be reconnected with your lost loved one. This can feel very overwhelming and all-encompassing. You may feel significant emotional pain, which at times may feel like physical pain in your body. There may be a multitude of physical reactions that you may never have felt before. For example, heart palpitations, butterflies in your stomach, frequent yawning, dizziness, fogginess, feelings of unreality. In this phase, you may have frequently distracting thoughts of your loved one, and significant trouble focusing on the things that you would normally have been able to focus on. When we're grieving, our brain is less concerned with paying attention to or remembering day-to-day things. So you may find small tasks much more difficult than you did before. What is integrated grief? Integrated grief is the enduring residual form of grief, in which the reality and meaning of the death are gradually understood, and we're able to embark once again on pleasurable and satisfying relationships and activities. Integrated grief does not mean that we forget about our loved one, miss them any less, or stop feeling sadness when we think of them. In integrated grief, we're able to find a way of staying connected to our loved one without their physical presence, and it feels easier to engage in other activities without grief constantly preoccupying our mind. However, there may be periods when acute grief re-emerges. This is common, and it doesn't reflect failure or a malfunction of the grieving process. This can occur around the time of significant events such as holidays, birthdays, anniversaries, another loss, or just a particularly stressful time in your life. A small proportion of people may experience prolonged grief, which is a lasting form of acute grief with complicating features that impede the restructuring process necessary for integrated grief. Grief is thought to be the natural process set in motion to help us adjust to loss. As with other natural healing processes, complications may occur that mean it's not completed as intended. Prolonged grief is very similar to acute grief. However, it can go on for years without the intensity of the experience decreasing. If you feel you're experiencing prolonged grief, then more specialist support may be necessary. You can contact your GP and request treatment from a clinical psychologist with experience in complicated or prolonged grief.
All right, everybody. So that just gave you scenarios about what she was talking about. That's a lot. And I've noticed with those who've been grieving for a long time, it's a long journey for them, because somebody told me, and I'm going to end this live, that if you were very close to that person, you're going to take it very, very, very badly. Very badly. It's going to be very rough for you every time a holiday, a birthday, an anniversary, some type of special moment. It's going to be difficult for you. And they're recommending counseling and support system to help you through this. It is a rough road, ladies and gentlemen. And it's people day in and day out going through this daily, and they're struggling. And when they find other things to cope with, that cause their mental stability to kind of lack, because they're focusing on drugs and substance and things that's not going to fulfill them. It's like an emptiness, so they're drinking, they're smoking, and all these things that they're doing. And they refuse to really listen, like, I got a problem and I need to address it immediately. When you get comfortable and then your mindset is fixed, there's nobody going to tell you how to do this and that, because you choose to listen to your own inner voice and those voices that are stopping you for really living fulfilling life. There's people right now, this very moment, struggling with this, like literally, like bad. Like most of us wouldn't understand it, but by me doing all this research and finding out that, it's happening day in and day out. Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go through the timelines. If you have lost somebody some years ago, like years and years ago, there's something triggered inside of you that initiates you to refill these emotions time and time again. And you really didn't have the right support system, apparently, because if you did, then those feelings and emotions that you're having, they'll be there. They won't be as significant. So a lot of people have gone through life like this, and I can see it with my own clear eyes, like, oh my gosh. I can see it through Memorial Day. I can see it through Mother's Day, and then Father's Day is coming up. Oh my goodness. All these different holidays and all these different anniversaries and birthdays, all of this is painful. And this is why the Grief Process webinar is really showing you, like, this is happening while the world is still living. People are still dealing with this. This is not an off button. This is not put the pause button. This is not take the ignition out the key and pull it out. This is not pause, stop, wait, go. No, this is an ongoing battle daily. Somebody right now is going through this. Somebody yesterday, and it's an everyday scenario. Somebody then lost their loved one. Somebody lost a spouse. Somebody lost a child. It's an ongoing cycle, and somebody's being introduced to grief. Yeah. People are being introduced to grief. People who haven't really lost no one, they don't know what to do. So they're just muddling through, and all of a sudden somebody give them a tip about support groups, and somebody say you should seek counseling. And that's when they feel like they need to unleash. And then I talked about earlier, those are the ones who don't want to unleash. They kind of shut themselves. So there's a lot of different scenarios. As we continue to talk about this is going to start to unravel, like, wait a minute. I may have friends and loved ones that's going through this day in and day out, and they're just muddling through life. And what we don't realize is they may have thoughts of suicidal thoughts, but you and I may never know about it unless they open up. That part. Now that will shock you. Somebody who's smiling and bubbly and happy, the moment they open their mouth, your spirit will feel a different type of way. And I'm going to tell you why. Because you may have this one-on-one conversation with them, and all of a sudden it leads into a very eerie and dark conversation that you never expect. This happy, bubbly person is all joyful, and all of a sudden all of this stuff start coming out because it was already in the mind and it was already thought about. We got to really look at it like this. Okay, for me, I can see person and look in their eyes, and the eyes tell you a lot of things. Most people can look in somebody's eyes or look at their smile and don't really pay attention because you're human. You're not really paying attention to what's really going on. But when you're very detailed like I am, you can pinpoint that something's wrong, but you can't understand or can't figure out what's really wrong. Yeah, a person can be smiling, but at the same time, there's a problem, and it's internal. It's very much internal. It's very much internal. All right, everybody. So I love you all. I'm finna get ready to get off of here. Have an amazing and a wonderful day. All right. Hey, Slap, what's going on? I'm talking. When my mom and dad passed, it took me about 3 years to finally to come out of grief mode, sis. And still to this day, when Mother's Day and Father's Day come, my system shuts down. See? Exactly, bro. That's what I'm talking about. It's an ongoing battle. You got to deal with this day in and day out. Anything that happens, it's a continuous cycle, on and on and on. And it's hard. You're going to shut down because you probably were very close to your mom and dad. And that's something that you've been dealing with. And it's hard. It's hard. And you just have to, and I'm going to say this, being your sister, you gotta just let it lay out. You gotta just cry it out. You just gotta let it all flow. When you are feeling upset, angry, emotional, it's gotta come out. There's no easy way around it. It's have to come out. If you have to turn off your social media, put your phone on vibrate, go somewhere and be alone, that's your day. And you have the right to. If you feel like you need to open up and express what you feel free. But if you don't, hey, because I know Father's Day is triggering. Mother's Day was bad, and Father's Day is going to be the same way. But what I've learned, that the difference grief of Mother's Day's grief is different than Father's Day grief. So whatever Father's Day grief looks like is different than Mother's Day. So whatever relationship you have with your mother is different than the relationship you have with your daddy. So you're going to grieve differently. This is what I learned, bro. You're going to grieve differently. So it's not going to be the same grief. It's going to be two different griefs. One can be really, really bad. One can be extremely bad, but they're going to be at different levels. Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm getting ready to log off, getting heading out the door. I love you all, and I'll see you back here on Monday to continue to talk about the grief process. Have an amazing day. Take care.